Hi. There's plenty of information for your opposing viewpoints essay in the news and announcements, but I've found historically students may not read it all, and honestly, not many students get A's on this paper for that reason. So I thought putting together a video explaining it in more detail would help. In your rough draft, you want to start with an introduction, and the example I'm going to use, very simple, is the pros and the cons of owning a dog. So I would start with one or two sentences. There are two types of people in the world, those who own dogs and those who don't. And the reasons some own dogs are this and the reasons they don't are that. And then you want to define, in this one there's really no terms to define, the history of the situation. For this particular situation, when did dogs become domesticated? And you want to look this up, and when you look it up you want to cite where you got the information from. After you do all that, you want your thesis statement. And this is the last sentence. It says, this paper will explore both sides of owning a dog, followed up by the author's opinion. After your introduction, then you head into part one. And this is the one side of the issue. So for now, one reason people support owning a dog is that dogs are friendly and they keep you company. And then you want to elaborate with a couple of sentences of what that means. And then you want to cite where you got that information. There's probably research out there of why people own dogs. Cite that. Another reason people believe you own a dog is for protection or whatever you find. And then a third reason, etc., etc. Remember to cite where you got the information from scholarly sources, which is professional journals, not the Washington Post, not BuzzFeed, not Facebook. After you do one side of the issue, then you go to the second side. The other side of the issue. And you start it with a nice transition statement. Although many people believe that owning a dog is the best thing since sliced bread, although you don't want to say it that way, there are many who believe that owning a dog is not something they want. One reason they oppose owning a dog is they take too much work. Another reason is, and whatever you find, a third reason is, and again, whatever you find, cite the source. You should be able to find 3 pros and 3 cons, which is why you're required to have 6 scholarly sources, one source for each pro, one source for each con. If you can't find 3, it's not the end of the world, but it depends on your topic. Try to find 3. And then you want your conclusion. This is your opinion, using some of the arguments as well as considering the views that oppose your opinion. So for example, if you believe that owning a dog is a great idea, you want to take into consideration the opposing view that says, well, dogs are a lot of work. So even though you believe owning a dog is a good idea, in light of the argument that they're a lot of work, how do you support that? So in other words, don't express your opinion in a vacuum. Take into consideration all the views you just presented. Last is your works cited page. And this is a separate page with the centered title Works Cited. The sources that have to be in proper MLA format, which you can find online through OWL Purdue. The sources need to be in alphabetical order and they need to be hanging indents. There's instructions online with Word how to do hanging indents. If a source appears in your paper, it needs to appear at the end. If it appears at the end, you need to cite it in your paper. Here's an example of an introduction that is unacceptable in my opinion. First off, there are no citations. For example, right here, she says abortion is usually conducted in case of unwanted pregnancies and takes place during the initial 4 to 5 months of pregnancy. My guess is she got that information from somewhere other than her head. There should be a citation. Secondly, the two sides are not introduced. There should be something like I have written here. On one side, there are people who believe that the life of a fetus needs to be protected. These people are considered pro-life. The other side feels that the woman has a right to her body and can terminate the pregnancy. These people are pro-choice. Third, there's no history of the topic. You cannot discuss abortion rights without discussing in a couple sentences with citations Roe v. Wade. Last, there's no thesis statement. What is this essay about? She ends her introduction with, my opposing point of view is that abortion should not be legal as it involves the killing of an unborn fetus. Ideally, your opinion should not show up in this paper until the conclusion. I should not know what your opinion is. It's an unbiased presentation of both sides of an issue. Your thesis statement, I gave you an example in the discussion in the news and announcements. You can find that. And last, the grammar is poor. For example, the second sentence: abortion involves termination of the pregnancy intentionally and preventing conceiving a child. It just doesn't even make sense. And the first sentence: abortion has been one of the most prevalent topics in today's day. What does that even mean? And it's, you want to start your paper with a really strong first sentence. I hope that helps a little bit. Please don't hesitate to email me if you have any questions. And again, return to the news and announcements where I outline very specifically what is expected. And if you've made it to this point, email me the word purple, and I will give you 1 extra credit point on your rubric. Good luck.